And when you're ADD, you try it like your brain's going so many different directions.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta take notes. I text myself lots of stuff in the moment.
Oh, okay.
That's one thing I always do. I text myself in the moment, or I have open my notes app in the moment,
Uh-huh.
because your brain's like, I don't know about you.
Yeah.
My brain's going so many different directions. Like I have
So many,
to.
so many squirrels, or so many really important productive directions.
So that way I go back and look at it, and I'll just
Yeah.
sit down for an hour and get it all out.
Ah, okay. You just brought up a good point here. So a lot of people go to meetings, they might take their notes, and then they throw their notes down on some pad of paper somewhere random. Can't find them when they need them. Don't process them. Don't do anything with them. Sounds like you had a pretty good habit of really going over your notes or typing them up or doing something with them. Would you say you've always had that habit?
So this is what I do if I now I haven't used my notes app on my phone a lot, or on my computer, so everything syncs. Before that, when I would write notes, I get one notebook a month, and I have boxes full of these. I still have these boxes, like one spiral, one subject notebook. And I just date it for the month. Everything that happens in that month is in that notebook.
Okay.
Because I know when something happened. Like I know when it happened. And I can find the notes if I was like, okay, I need to know, like I know this happened at this meeting or this conference, and I could go find that notebook.
So and you never pulled out the pages or filed them by topic, anything like that. You could just find
I would never find it.
So filing's not your thing, evidently.
No, I would never find it. I would never go back and look at it. But every now and then I'd be like, oh, there was something I learned at this conference. Or I had a meeting with this person, and I need to go back, and I know it was in that meeting, and I know when that happened.
Okay.
And so I could go back and find that notebook.
So you had a good memory that way.
No, well, I mean, I keep a digital calendar, so I know.
Okay.
Oh, or I could go back, and I always kept my date books and be like, okay, or you kind of know when you went somewhere or you met somebody, and I could go back and, where's my notebook from January of last year? That's when I went to that conference.
Yeah. Now that's real interesting, because I'm hearing your system and it sounds brilliant. I wouldn't be able to do that because I have zero memory of any kind. I have no memory. So if I don't have things filed by topic in some way, forget it. I may never remember I even had a conversation or a meeting on a certain thing.
So you know how your brain works.
Yeah, or doesn't work in this case.
Well, and see, that's just it. You got to know what works for you. And that's where it's okay. You can't stress that. I can't worry that I can't file stuff. And you can't worry that you can't remember when it happened.
That's right. I don't spend one iota of a moment worrying about my bad memory. I just know I need to follow a system where I don't have to worry about not having a good memory.
I call my kids the wrong things, and I birthed them, and I can't remember their names. I mean,
as long as you remember giving birth to them at some point in your life.
I mean, I'm not stressing it, but sometimes I call them the dog's name. I mean,
no, not really.
I do. I have called them the dog's name before.
And it doesn't imply that they're in the doghouse.
No, you get in the moment and you're just start going through the names of the people you holler names at. But you can't worry about what you're not good at. You just figure out what you're good at and what works for you. And just because you hear, oh, this idea worked for somebody doesn't mean you should do it. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should do it.
Absolutely. And you were telling me back when your doctor diagnosed you initially that he asked you a question. Do you remember that?
Yeah, he asked me about my habits, and he's like, well, how do you handle like paperwork and stuff? And I was like, I don't do paperwork. Like, somebody else do that. Like,
now you don't know, but that is actually a brilliant piece of wisdom that many entrepreneurs, even without ADHD, cannot grasp, or at least not until they've really knocked their head against the wall a long time. You don't have to be good at every single aspect of a business to run a business, or to be a leader, or to be great at a job.
Oh, I would have rather
delegate.
Oh gosh, I didn't want to do. If I had to have done all that, I would have never been doing what I did at that time, because I was like,
sure, you'd be wasting time on something you suck at, basically.
yeah, I liked being with people,
Mm-hmm.
and being with paper did not involve being with people.
All right, here's a bit of a new thing for you. What advice would you give to somebody who didn't have anyone to delegate the paperwork to, and maybe they didn't have the money to hire someone to do the paperwork? That's a trick question. We haven't talked about this.
There is. Well, and sometimes you got to suck it up.
Okay. So sometimes you may have to do something.
Yeah. Sometimes
you hate, but you might be thinking, I need to get successful really fast so I can hire someone to get rid of this paperwork.
The fact you do, but I will say I simplified things. When I did do it, like when I was building before I did delegate it, I kept things very simple. I didn't overcomplicate it. I kept things very streamlined. Because I know some people like very to detail everything out, and they got label makers for everything, and everything's color coded. I was not doing that stuff. Like the easier it was, the more likely I was going to do it. Like if I had to take extra time to like color code and label, and I wasn't going to do it. But if it was easy, I would do it.
Now, here's an interesting thing. So what was motivating for you was to make it quick and easy and get rid of it. For some people, the color coding is what makes it motivating for them.
Absolutely.
They like color coding.
Oh, my friend Stacy, she has multiple label makers in her house. I make fun of her, but it brings her joy. She would lay everything in her house has a label like sticker on it. And, she thinks it's the greatest thing ever. So,
okay. Tracy, I'm going to switch gears on you. Here's a more serious topic. So you're doing these fundraising for women with women-related cancer, and then shabam.
Shabam. Funny. Right when I was about to hold my fourth one, I was 39 and I found a lump. It was crazy. And thank goodness, I had been holding those events and was one of the top ones in the country. Because in 15 minutes, I had appointments with the top doctors in the country.
Amazing.
It turned out I had stage 2 invasive breast cancer. And I had luckily I was able to have all my treatments here in the Grand Strand of South Carolina, but I did have doctors in Texas. But I have very aggressive treatments, but I went through treatments for a couple years, but and I'm cancer free now. This is brand new hair. But it's crazy how doing that and doing those events gave me access to things I never even knew I was going to need.
Yeah, synchronicity. And then most people would think, well, when that happened, you must have taken time off from work to deal with it. No, not you.
No. That's what everybody thought. But, cancer is expensive. So I needed to work and pay for that. I actually had a 10% increase that year. I did really well when I had cancer. And I would go to treatment and work. They had a hard time getting me to sit still. Because when you're ADD and they try to make you have chemo for like hours.
Yeah.
And they give you this Benadryl that makes you a little like you've had
I
would just walk around. Yeah. So I was crazy. Yeah, but I worked the whole time while I was there. So I did really great. It was really interesting.
Did you ever, have a moment then when you just were feeling really sorry for yourself when, that you got that diagnosis?
Of course I did. Absolutely. And when, the problem is when you have a pity party, nobody shows up but you. So, you got to give yourself a time limit. I always give myself a 5-minute time limit to have a pity party. I'll take
What do you do in 5 minutes? Feeling bad for 5 minutes.
Yeah, you grab some eggs and you go throw them at a tree because it feels good to break something. And it's cheap. Yeah, because eggs don't cost that much. And you get to break something and it's environmentally friendly. It doesn't hurt the earth, and biodegradable.
Wow.
And yeah, you get it out of your system. You break something and you get all of that out, and then you set a time limit. You give yourself a minute to get it out, but then you got to get over it, because
wow,
nobody else really cares. Like, they'll act like they care, but they don't really care. Like, wow. Everybody else is dealing with their own stuff. No matter how bad you got it, I'd always look in a room and I say, no matter how bad I got it, there's probably a woman here that's going home and getting the crap beat out of her or something.
Oh gosh.
There's probably somebody that's got it worse than me.
Yeah. So. Well, you just have an amazing attitude for dealing with life altogether. And I think what you've managed to accomplish and do, and you're just the whole gestalt of you is amazing. And ADHD does not define you, though maybe some of the qualities of it give you a lot of your brilliance. But I think you just sort of
better. They really do. I think it gives us an edge. It really does give us an edge. It gives us a little bit of a superpower.
Well, that's very cool. Tracy, thank you so much for being my guest for these sessions. It's exciting, fun to talk with you. And I'm lucky I get to talk with you every week because you're on my team. And now I know so much more about you than I ever did.
This was fun. Thank you so much. This was great.
So I just want to tell folks who are listening, if you want to learn all kinds of wonderful life skills with ADHD, as well as mindset support and mindset management, my membership program, Productivity Pathfinder, is open and available. You can read about it and join productivitypathfinder.com. This is Bonnie Mincu, and this has been ADHD Self-Mastery.
Learn more about Bonnie and her Productivity Pathfinder training program for ADHD adults at thrivewithadd.com.